Previously on the roster.
Michael called me and kind of was like, hey man, I'm moving to Europe and I'm gonna play for the Russians. I thought he was joking at first. It really kind of took me by surprise.
This was like my shot to do something with my life, you know? And
Jesse has all the tools to be a great player.
I don't know what it is. He just hasn't been able to produce like we want him to produce.
Simplest thing. And how many times do we all talk about, hey, if someone's in the God, you gotta check them out. You just can't get it.
Dimitri quit Storm, and he very well might be in our starting five for the first event.
Scott Kemp, honestly, it was the guys that approached me about it.
I think they need me to step up and be a leader and a role model to help each other and grow and win championships. I want to be here, not for this season, but, I want to retire for the X Factor. So.
Awesome. Welcome to the family, dog.
If I were to put him in and we wound up getting relegated by 1 point, I don't think I'd ever be able to live by myself.
I honestly felt like I was getting replaced. That kid, I was blown away because of how young he was.
At this stage, I want to win more tournaments and I want to win more championships.
I'm not a dictatorship. We discuss things and work them out. We bring it to the table. We squash it.
This weekend, he's played well enough to go.
Really?
He was playing with you. You're like, that sucks. I hate him.
No,
That's
I did not
personal.
say that.
You
I
said
laughed
that.
at Ryan and I said, yeah, I see what you did there, Ryan.
We are going by what they do here,
All right.
man.
Exactly. And came out here as a pro player and on everybody out here.
X Factor minicamp is well underway. As players move from drill to drill, it doesn't take very long to see players separating themselves from the pack.
Good job. Good job.
Some of the top performers are expected. Others are surprises. Like number 18, Wesley Ward from Macon, Georgia.
I was impressed with the kid. Actually, when he came out, I kind of look at all these kids, I kind of sit back a little bit and just kind of watch their body movement, whether they're athletic or, kind of watch their gestures and just from kind of in the shadows, just their attitude. You committed to travel? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Just whatever it takes?
Definitely.
Okay. Honestly, the kid Wesley, he surprised me. Because it's a no-name kind of deal. I didn't even know he was coming. I'd heard he played for a team, a D1 team or something like that. To be honest, I wasn't too sure. The guys are a lot more informed than I am about it.
Do we have body stats on him?
I did not.
Weight, size, athletic build?
I did not get that. He actually sent one of the more professional resumes.
Yeah, I remember reading it too.
I am kind of torn on whether or not I'm going to allow this guy, because he seems like a solid guy, and if we're in Texas, I push him through. But being in Georgia, how do we feel about letting this guy spend his own money to fly himself out and all the expenses to have a pretty big long shot? He's fighting against some, what looks like some guys that have pro experience for one spot.
Macon, Georgia, that's far from San Antonio, man. How'd you get down here?
Flew.
You're that interested in the opportunity here?
Definitely. This is my first pro shot. X Factor's an extremely solid team.
you know, realistically, a guy like this, he's really only trying out for a pro team. Yeah. I mean, we're not going to cover the expenses for him on our practice team. We're just not.
I think we give him a shot if he's willing to fly himself out.
I mean, I don't know. I say yeah. I mean, like you guys did it. I mean, if he's that, you gave him the rundown. If he's that serious about it, he obviously thinks he can compete. So,
like I said, it's my first pro tryout. I mean, I definitely expected it to be hard, and it's definitely been.
I look at those 4 barrels. That's bad. Hey, I need people that are gonna get serious here. I gotta see something better than this. I can tell you that right now. Dude, there's probably tops 18 hits. Hell, I'll give you 1 each. Hey, this is what it's about. It's about drills. Now I can see who can do what. This is running and shooting. You need to have it. Let's go. Show me what you got.
I'm very confident in my running and gunning. I believe that was probably my best.
Yeah, you did. And you hit the barrels. Good job. Nice form.
At first, my snapping was off. The second time around we came, I think I was pretty good.
We're doing a post-up drill where basically your 2 guys are about maybe 25 or 30 feet away from each other. And it's just start in your bunkers. It's a snap drill. And we'll say go, you guys are snapping, and whoever gets shot first, boom, the winner stays. Desmond is probably one of the better snap shooters here, and then I think he went up against a kid that flew in from Georgia, actually. Desmond can snap, but that kid was also like just right there, like, you know, not phased at all. He's really hanging, so.
Honestly, I thought he excelled at pretty much everything he did. I thought his speed was a bit of a concern. We didn't think he had quite that speed that we're looking for as far as a guy that's ready to go on the pro squad, but you know, his movement, his game, his field recognition was strong, his gun skills were strong, and he played well.
Starts in 5. Go.
Wes is a solid player. From what we saw, well, and Wes had a couple of characteristics that I particularly like. He's an aggressive player. And, you know, anytime I'm asked, I always say you can't teach that part of the game. Either a player has it in them or they don't. And my preference is I like aggressive players. I like players prepared, you know, to make moves, make things happen, to run downfield and get a little dirty.
Wesley? Which side of the field is he playing on?
He's playing snake side mostly.
Okay.
At least I've seen him over here.
Oh, and he's on the winning team, huh? Or
Yeah.
the team that's gone through?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get another look at him. Is he contributing? Is that
Yes.
part of the reason they're doing well?
Yeah.
Okay.
If Paul Richards likes something, the odds are pretty good it will translate into wins.
Yeah, buddy!
Over 6 seasons with Tampa Bay Damage, Richards led the team to 2 series championships and over a half-dozen tournament victories. But after 2012 ended without a tournament win,
Yeah, I went. No, go to their head. I did.
Damage and Richards parted ways, and he found himself without a team. You would think X Factor, who reached the top 4 at the PSP World Cup, wouldn't be in the market for a new coach. But you'd be wrong. Paul Richards has come to Texas.
I had a season last year, 3 out of 5 top 4s in the PSP, and we had won a tournament for the first time in 5 years in 2012. So I think any kind of questioning of my coaching was a little crazy, but the fact that it was Paul Richards was the only thing that made it make any sort of sense. I've always had a lot of respect for him. You know, I've been in Damage's pits watching games, not to be in there for any reason other than to watch Paul and see how he runs it.
At Damage, after the 2012 season, the team wanted to, you know, consider changing the structure of the coaching staff and management there a little bit. It largely removed me from kind of, you know, the daily hands-on sort of thing. And since that's a large part of what I enjoy about doing this, I didn't say yes or no right away, but almost immediately began thinking about if there were some other alternative possibilities.
I was at home one evening and I got a phone call. You know, as outsiders, we don't know what's going on in other camps, you know, in other teams. And And it's difficult in all teams. I mean, it's when you have emotions and grown men's minds coming together, it doesn't always work out.
Alex gave me a call. They said, hey, we need to have coffee. It's going to be something that is going to take you by surprise.
You know, I know that I already had one coach, but when you have someone that have the opportunity to bring in more experience and the knowledge that he has, I just thought, wow, this might be a really good pickup for us.
There was no beating around the bush. He said, hey, Paul Richards had spoken to me. What do you think?
Ryan and Alex have a lunch meeting. They talk. Literally, Ryan gets out. He calls me. He's like, hey, man, this is what's going on. Don't tell Alex I told you. I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, Alex is calling me right then and there. So I'm like, oh, God.
And he told me, if you aren't comfortable with this, we will not do it.
Alex is a very loyal guy.
I was like, hey, man, dude, you don't got anything to worry about. You're our dude.
Before I made my decision about Paul Richards, I spoke to some of the guys, tried to figure out how they felt about it.
For myself, I've worked with Paul before. He really helped me become the player I am. So when they called me and asked me what I thought, having Paul on the team really brings another level of play for us.
Look, Paul's honestly been one of the probably the best coach ever. You know, he's been doing it the longest and certainly reinvented the game almost in a coaching aspect where it's like, holy crap, he made coaches like a viable option.
Paul's really good at kind of dissecting the games and really getting in your head and telling you, look, this is why you got shot, this is what you're doing wrong, this is what they're doing.
And the other thing is if we don't pick him up, somebody will. We're gonna make he's gonna make some team better. The question is, it gonna be us or our competition?
I feel like everyone thought that with Paul Richards in our corner, be it as coach, as scout, a sideline coach, or anywhere in our system, that we'd be a better team. And I felt the same way, so we made the move.
It's good for X Factor that Paul Richards has experience developing a world-class snake player like Billy Bernaccia. He may have to do it again.
Well, believe it or not, I do have a real job now. I started working with one of my friends who used to play paintball. We played on Hogan's Alley together, so he's pretty familiar with paintball, which is why it's tough for me to get off. Talked to Ryan first, and I told him that I was having trouble getting off work for the first event. Somebody else had taken the dates off, so he wasn't too happy. He asked me who my boss was and where he could find him. Alex said something along the same lines, but they both understood, you know, they want me to focus on work as well, but, you know, also want me to try and get this figured out so I can still be a part of the team.
Not having Bernaccia for the season opener adds even more pressure to the Dallas event, which is already shaping up to be a bloodbath. The tournament will feature the debut of the PSP's new format, Champions and Challengers. The league is expanding from 12 pro teams to 20. Similar to European soccer formats, the PSP will group them into two 10-team pro divisions. The bottom two finishers in the Champions League will be relegated down, and the top two finishers in the Challengers League will be promoted up. The twist, though, unlike soccer, is that this will happen at each of the 5 events. Dallas is an open tournament, with all pro teams competing in one division. The top 10 finishers in Dallas will remain in the Champions League, and the rest will be relegated for event number 2. The obstacles piling up for X Factor, finding reliable and talented front players at minicamp is taking on a new sense of urgency. This explains the most controversial guest at X Factor minicamp. If you want exciting and dynamic snake play, Zach Wake is a great place to start. The 24-year-old free agent from Knoxville, Tennessee, already has 7 years professional experience, including stints with Infamous and Dynasty. He also has a reputation.
Good job.
Wake is one of the most polarizing players in the game. What some see as enthusiasm, intensity, and showmanship, others see as hot-headedness and attitude. Unfortunately for Wake, the guys on the field wearing the black and white jerseys has come to see it as the latter.
Zach is a phenomenal paintball player. I played with him on the Naughty Dogs, and I mean, he is one of those guys that will go out there and win tournaments. He's just a phenomenal player. My only concern with Zach is his, he's been kind of looted by red flags in the past, and so we all know that he's kind of a penalty type of guy. I already spoke to him personally before he came out. I was the one that actually made first contact with him to get him out here, and I told him that that's our major concern is not your playability, not your fundamentals, not your skills, not your mentality. He's got a great attitude. It's just the fact that he's been plagued with red flags in the past, and that's stuff that loses tournaments, and we just can't have that.
The attitude thing, man, it's one of those things. Some people like it, some don't. It's something I've had since I was 16 when I started playing at the top level. It's something I feel like I need to control. Especially being 23 now. I can't just say, oh, I'm a kid anymore, just hothead. But it's one of those things. I feel like it gives me that edge. It's something that really gets me going personally, and I feel like some people take it the wrong way sometimes, and it's never intended that way. It's something that just me personally, it gets me going and gets me fired up. Is just to I kind of got a mouth on me, I think the biggest thing is the penalties. That's something that, man, honestly, it's just something I got to work on. I've been saying it for years, but I haven't really had my focus where it needed to be, like I said to them in the meeting.
If we do pick up Zach, he's probably filling Michael Kovar's spot. And I love Mike like a brother, but he probably got more penalties than anybody in the league. I haven't looked at the stats, and if there's bonus points for getting penalties on Sunday, he definitely would win that category too.
If we had to fill the spot, I'd be more apt to take somebody that had the kind of experience that Zach would have over a new guy. But in the same sense, we also, don't want to stifle the new guys. We need to get them out there and see what they got.
Zach Wake's mere presence at minicamp is a blow to the confidence of Jesse Stevens. While previous pickups Scott Kemp and Dimitri Ninos are likely to be inserted into X Factor's D-side attack, make no mistake about it, Zach Wake is here to play the snake. If the team picks up Wake and Billy Bernacchi eventually returns, there's becoming less and less room for Stevens.
My thoughts when I saw Zach come to the camp, it did make me a little nervous. I mean, obviously, you get kind of that thought in the back of your head that, you're getting replaced.
It's tough to bring up players. We've had him for, almost a year now. Ideally, he has the right body type, the right size. He's quick, he's athletic, he's small. It's great for these kind of fields, The bunkers seem to get smaller and smaller, and I'm like, where am I gonna fit?
And I know the guys like me, and I need to just, keep working as a player and keep developing, and I'll be there soon.
Alex Martinez isn't the only one at minicamp wondering where they'll fit in as the pro game evolves. One-handed snake dives tend to make the highlight reels. But gun skills, communication, and field awareness have their place too. 24-year-old Englishman Jamie Beadle is hoping that by displaying command of that skill set, he'll show up on X Factor's radar.
I'm a strong believer that you can live behind your gun. Doesn't matter what size, what speed. Those little things do help. Those are pluses on the speed side and being athletic. But if you can live behind your gun, that's key. There's guys that are roping strings at you, and you come on, you snap 1-2 balls on them, and you're on point. Dude, they're gonna go away. It doesn't matter how fast or how strong they are. They're gonna go away, or you shoot them, one or the other.
Good shot. Damn, nice shot, Jeremy.
Beadle is no stranger to the brutal selection process. He attended last year's minicamp and was a standout performer until a nagging knee injury prevented him from finishing the tryout.
A long time ago you did what?
Like a year ago I slid over a rock. And it popped my kneecap.
This is where people are wrong. If you continue playing and you really hurt it, then you won't be able to finish out the season.
I know, and it's stupid, but if I don't play today, you're not really going to pick me up, are you? So I basically took last year to rest my knee. Being basically resting it up until now. I started playing maybe about 2 weeks ago. My knee was good enough to start going again. Played at my local field up in Bristol, the Academy 49 field, real good. And I'm here to see if I can get my spot back, basically. I've got a working knee, so hopefully no danger there.
Jamie is a very devoted paintball player. He has worked hard Jamie at the same time has kind of what I would consider a traditional UK style of game, in the sense that it's a little more gentlemanly style of play, than what passes for hardcore paintball over here.
X Factor currently maintains two traditional back players on the team, Martinez and the always solid Todd Morrow. With Pro Field Designs putting more and more focus on pushing down the field aggressively, it's questionable that X Factor would roster 3 players who can only fill specific backfield roles.
Thing is, a player like me or Jesse could play 4 spots on the field, on a 5-man field, right? A player like Todd or Jamie, there's really 3 spots. He can be the back center guy or the second guy, whereas a guy like me can play essentially not even 4, all 5 of the spots.
Because Jamie's a little bigger than what passes for the X-Ball standard these days. Obviously doesn't mean you can't play. Anybody can play if they work at it hard enough, but obviously it helps to be smaller and faster and athletic than not.
Jamie Beadle is a long shot. He's hoping the final drill before the first cuts, a 3-on-3 tournament, where he's captaining his own team, will let him shine in real game situations and impress the coaches.
But I hope people are seeing that, like, I've got it, I'm just a little rusty. If they give me the time of day, practicing out here all the time, I'm gonna get it back.
Next time on the roster. Minicamp intensifies as X Factor players begin mixing in with the candidates for drills and scrimmages. Tempers flare amongst the team as bad blood from the past follows one candidate into the present.
But I think, in my opinion, I feel like is personal, and we're talking about stories from years past, dude.
It has nothing to do with personal, Archie. If anything, you're the one that personal. It's the same thing with Pelto.
And first cuts are made, as 6 of the 18 candidates must turn in their jerseys and armbands. Watch for new episodes of The Roster starring San Antonio X Factor every week through December 3rd. To watch new episodes online, visit planeteclipse.com every Wednesday beginning on October 30th. New episodes will be broadcast in Europe every week at 9 GMT on Sky Channel 192 as part of Primetime Paintball TV beginning Tuesday, October 29th. What do you think about Zach Wake's style of play? And do you think his reputation is fair? Like our Planet Eclipse Facebook page and join the discussion. Discuss the show on Twitter with director Dan Napoli @ETVDan and with San Antonio X Factor themselves @XFactorPB.